In this video today, we're going to look at what Cooper Flagg brings to the table for basketball and what I think his potential might be, what I think limiting factors might be, what I think his upside is, his huge upside is. Let's go. Coming into this year, Cooper Flagg obviously had a huge amount of hype. So when inspecting him, it's difficult to try and separate that value that maybe the media perceives from what you actually see on tape. And I think Cooper Flagg has a lot of upside, and actually going through the tape, I think one of the big comparisons in my eyes that make a lot of sense is Kevin Durant. We're going to look at Cooper Flagg in three categories. We're going to start with his ability to create, his ability to pass, and finally his ability to shoot on the perimeter. And we're going to discuss what those might evolve into and why the potential for each of them is so important. Today we're going to look at the game between Duke and Auburn this past year, 2024. And we're going to try and look at this game as unbiasedly as possible. We're going to look at it systematically in categories, but then chronologically inside of that, and discuss why each was good or bad and what the implications of it are. Let's start with his ability to create. So the first thing is, I like the little shot fake right there, but his ability to create largely stemmed from his ability to essentially get to a place where he can rise up. You can see that most of these drives or most of these creation opportunities don't happen with him necessarily getting to the rim in the same way we'd see like a Zion getting to the rim. Instead, it's more like getting close to the paint and then rising up to a clean look using his length and shooting ability to get that open look. So when there's any kind of drive, if there's physicality in the rim, he doesn't really go up to challenge that physicality. Instead, he just uses the ability he has, which is get a little bit of separation and go vertical quickly. And as far as his college career goes, it worked out extremely well. He was able to efficiently get up that, I'll say, mid-range shot. And we're going to actually talk more about the efficiency here in a little bit, but we can see that this was obviously a consistent game plan of him. As this drive happens, he's not trying to force the ball into the paint necessarily or even force help to adjust to him. Instead, he gets that little separation and then fades away slightly to get more elevation, get more distance from the defender, and rises up, make or miss. That was his philosophy. And then even if he wasn't going all the way to the rim, he was essentially just using the dribble, using the threat to create openings one way or the other. Now, I'm not a huge fan of like the 1 foot inside the three-point line, but that shows his shooting ability in the first place, so I still think it's a good sign. Again, on this drive right here, his goal really isn't to get to the rim. It's simply to create a little bit of separation, make it so a defender has to switch or something like this, and use that to elevate and get a shot that he's comfortable with, which I think he did over and over again with very good consistency. So here's going to be the first comparison I draw between him and Kevin Durant. Obviously, they both use their length. They both like to use the jump shots. They don't hesitate with the mid-range jump shot, and they use the drive to create open jumpers. So in college at Texas, Kevin Durant shot 50% on his two-point percentages, or his two-point shots, and shot 14.2 of them per game. Cooper Flagg is in a very similar category, if anything, with better statistics with 19.2 two-point percentages and 51% on his two-point shots. Shooting a very similar style of shot and shooting it with slightly better percentages than Kevin Durant, I think is a great sign for Cooper Flagg at this current moment. So then we move to his passing, and again, one aspect that I think is crucial here is his game isn't really designed to create open looks for his teammates. However, we can still see his passing in the flow of the offense. So here this is, I'd say, kind of a set play, but here there's going to be a back screen set. And so this offensive player is going to be open in this area. Cooper Flagg is obviously able to read that and make the pass on target where he could rise up there, or he has the opportunity to drive. So that's a very good pass from Cooper. This is example number 2. Here we have a mismatch that Duke is able to get to, and Cooper recognizes this and is able to throw it to the inside. Maybe not the cleanest pass, but he gets the ball in there where it's effective to get the post player the opportunity. All right, with Cooper coming up for the ball screen right here, they're going to momentarily, hedge slightly, so that means Cooper's going to be open. And so the read here is the help is going to come off right here. So is Cooper able to find this player? And he does a good job passing out too. I think he got fouled on the arm right there, but does a good job finding the open man based on what the defense was giving him. Now here's the one pass I'll say I actively didn't like. So here Duke is pushing in transition, and you have the advantage where you have two players over here, and so you have 4-on-3 essentially. And I'm not a huge fan of any passes that require you to throw it over somebody where you're essentially lobbing the ball, but it's not like for a post up near the rim. Okay, so this essentially just slows the pace of play down, makes it so one has to gather it. I would much rather prefer him to either make like a bounce pass right here, take 2 dribbles to the side and get so you have a clean angle. I don't like that over the top pass, just not a huge fan of it. That being said, it does still get to 1, he gets a clean look at it. So it does work efficiently. However, this pass in transition, I'm much more of a fan of. This involves reading the defense. And so here again, we saw player attacked over there, so you have a slight opportunity in transition. Because they're miscommunicating over here, we can see the pass here, pass here. I like the fact that both these players are pointing at each other. A very good sign. That means they're trying to communicate at least. But so here, you see this defender is shaded over here a little bit. So Cooper is able to make that read and skips it to the corner, puts it in a good spot, super underlooked perspective. He puts it right in the numbers, gets him a clean look to rise up to that 3. And then finally, let's look at his shooting. In particular, he shot quite a few threes and had a decent percentage, but I like the lack of hesitancy is the most important thing. So as this ball is going to get moved to him, it actually gets deflected to Johnson right there, but Cooper still collects it, and even with a hand loosely in his face, he's still willing to rise up and shoot that ball. And so I don't really think he's going to be Steph Curry out here. However, that being said, he's not going to be a player that you can by any means give open shots to on the perimeter. And so I like the fact that defenses are going to have to respect him out there. So the reason I think this Kevin Durant comparison is so crucial is because they have very similar styles of game where they use their length, use their shooting ability. And Kevin Durant had obviously very good numbers in Texas, but if you look at like his first 7 years in the NBA, he got markedly better. His 2-point percentage drastically increased. It started 45%, 48%, and then went all the way up to 56% or 60% with Golden State. His 3-point percentage, whatever, that was consistently good the entire time. But those great years that Kevin had, even currently is having, I think show exactly how much he can use his length to create efficient shots and be one of the best players in the league, absolutely. So then do I think Cooper's going to be the next Kevin Durant? I don't know. It's very difficult to tell. It's obviously like a shout out to Kevin for his work ethic, how much better he got in the NBA his first 6 years. But the fact that they're a similar age, similar styles, gives Cooper at least that opportunity to be in comparison with it. I don't know if Cooper has exactly the same athletic ability, but he definitely is still extremely athletic. And I think there is a huge amount of upside, a lot of potential for what Cooper Flagg could bring to the NBA. If you enjoyed, feel free to like and subscribe. If you have thoughts, I would love to hear them. But most importantly, have a blessed rest of your day.